to fight for number one, or in this case for number two as they go. Look at that, Elvis ranking up the inside. He wants that for that Skip Barber Racing School seat, and he is going to do everything he can to get there as well.
Here we go. Down no name straight, but he's just defended well, but Rankin gets through, nips by.
Takes so much effort to get a perfect lap around here. Road Atlanta, Brazelton, Georgia. This is round 2 of 5 here of your Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. And what an amazing championship this is. It is all about the top 20 over the course of time, then putting themselves to the test and saying who is going to be person number 1 and get a full seat for this year's upcoming races in the Skip Barber Racing Series. I'm Jake Sperry. I've got Chaz Draycott alongside me for the ride. And Chaz, this is a crucial juncture in the season. The first 2 races set the tempo. This is where you hit the next 6 races and say, this is where you make your bread and butter.
Absolutely. This is going to be one of the real pinnacles of the championship, I think, because the drivers have to work so hard around here. Like you say, it's so difficult to put a lap together, but look at what we've got on the line here. They are going to feel the pressure from these amazing prizes every single step of the way.
A full season seat, first place, half a season for second place, and 1 race for third, as well as individual race prizes for every victory, every hard charger award, and of course, first, second, and third all get 5 days worth of competition licensing and Skip Barber Racing School coaching. But this is how they stand after the opening round's worth of racing. Harley Horton has control of things, and you will notice the Skip Barber logo, along with drivers who are not racing here tonight. The big one is number 2, or position number 2, Sebastian Weldon. He's not here. It's best 8 of 10 results, Chaz, that score tonight over the course of this season. So tonight, he drops both his rounds.
He does indeed, yeah. It's a very important part as well because he's instantly going to be on the back foot knowing that he has to really nail it at the rest of all of the rounds of the championship as well. But it's a great reason for which he is not here, actually, because, of course, with one of the wins last time out in that individual round of the championship, he got a day's credit at the Skip Barber Racing School. And, well, you know him, Jake. He went for it, as he did for every opportunity during those first 2 races that we saw him in. And he's gone and taken that credit, and he's gone and done it. Fair play to him.
Absolutely, and that is what we love to see. But Chaz, we now move here around this Road Atlanta circuit, which has held Petit Le Mans. It has been one of the most amazing endurance circuits to go around and to watch. And it's one of these circuits where the elevation change completely makes it. Turn 5 especially the most difficult corner on track.
Yeah, it's a massive challenge around here. It's really interesting because it's a circuit of 2 main sections. The first sector alone is so difficult. It's so one-line dependent. You really have to be patient through there and follow the car ahead of you, especially in machines that are affected by aero wash. But then around the rest of the lap, you've got opportunities to try and outbrake people. You've got opportunities to slipstream people, set a move up. It's an amazing bit of racetrack, this. I love it around here. But as we spoke about before we went live on air, turns 10A and 10B down at that chicane is going to be the main overtaking spot tonight because the slipstream's not massive in these things, but it's certainly going to be something to think about.
It certainly is. All of these drivers then getting ready for their qualifying laps. Now, they've all been given a brand new directive here today to say that they have to be traveling over 70 kilometers an hour for their out laps here, because they only have the 1 qualifying lap to get themselves up together. And the one thing they want more than anything else is that tyre temperature. Of course, race 1, 15 minutes. Grid set by the results of race 1 for race 2. But the big crucial matter of fact here, Chaz, is they have to get the tyre temperature. That's the big key for this qualifying lap.
Yeah, that's it. You know, this isn't a longer sort of 15-minute session where you can just do as many laps as possible. You know, they've got that one chance to get it right, and it's make or break. So as you see here, car number 16, Simone Personi, is really weaving down the back straight here. It's quite aggressive weaving in a way. It's not sort of Raikkonen-esque where he puts more than enough lock on to really scrub the front tyres. He's just keeping a high average speed up here and gently washing that temperature through. Gets through the chicane and absolutely boots it on exit. Here's car number 20, Will Chadwick. Now, he was car number 1 last week, qualifying the fastest at the start of the entire series, and now he just makes it through as 20th place for this round.
Shows you how quickly the margins change. Now looking to grab all the circuit through turn number 1. The fast right-hander up the hill, looking for a run. We'll take a drive-side view with Ryan Michelin here. Flicking through the left of turn 2, onto the brakes of turn 3. A little drop of the gear, and in fact drops the entire car, and that'll be the lap gone for a loss of control penalty, which is 2 instant points in the iRacing service. So we'll head back to number 20, up the hill at turn 5, over the curb, taking all of that runoff there for the club circuit, and now trying to get that drive here, Chaz, for turn 6 and 7, the 2 transfer right-handers.
It's so important to carry a lot of speed through turn 6 there and get nice and smooth on the brakes. You don't want the car to be unsettled in any way whatsoever when you get onto the brakes there, especially in something like this that's so sensitive to the tiniest of movements. But Michelin just attacked that right-hander a little bit too hard, and that's important as well because he was car number 1, as we saw a moment ago, which meant he is the fastest qualifier before this event. And, well, that basically puts him up there as the favourite for this, but not anymore with that qualifying performance. So it's now going to be a definite night of trying to make it back through the field.
120.8, now 120.6, the time to beat by Matt Caruana. William Chadwick then will drive to the line. A 120.811 goes second fastest with that time. Still just a little bit short in terms of outright time. Over the line, another time is then going to go through. This is Michael Janney from Moncton, Maryland, and goes 4th fastest with that. Again, in that 2/10 bracket. We noticed as well over the hours worth of practice they had for this, as here's Matt Adams, one of the new drivers into this series, won a race last time this series was run last year over at Watkins Glen. But we've noticed that over the practice times at one stage, the gap was down to 2/10, splitting the top 15.
Yeah, it's been incredibly close. It absolutely has been. They've all got that first sector really nailed as well. It seems like they just have the optimum line through there, and they can all match one another, but no time on the board by the look of it from the number 17 at all. As whoa, big old sideways moment and a spin there for Romanidis.
Yeah, Michael Romanidis then, the Greek driver, getting into a little bit of trouble out there with that lap time, and that's no good. Number 2, though, Josh Thompson, driving out of Ramsey, the Isle of Man, hoping that his one qualifying lap only is going to work and get into play. Only the 8 drivers setting a time. It shows you how difficult this Road Atlanta circuit is, especially when you consider that it's pretty much ideal conditions for racing here today. Over the line, 120.878, good enough for 5th fastest then with that lap time, but a couple of drivers are looking for times. None other than the championship leader here, Harley Horton, trying to get the time in to jump Matt Caruana, who leads. Jakub Maciejewski currently second. It's only a 121 flat, though, and that'll be disappointing. 8th place only on the grid. The last driver who can set a time is going to be right up against the hard cut in 3 seconds' time is Diogo Pinto. Has he timed it perfectly? Gets over the line, and it will count, but it will go second fastest with that one. So let's get a look at where everybody stacks up then tonight here from Road Atlanta. And it's Matt Caruana who's got the pole position at the 11th hour and the 59th second. It was Diogo Pinto who will find himself alongside. Jakub Maciejewski will go from 3rd with William Chadwick 4th. And then it's Oscar Mangan and Josh Thompson 5th and 6th. Brandon Hawkin will start from 7th with Michael Janney in 8th position, and the championship leader, Harley Horton, has work to do tonight. He will go from 9th with Matthew Zace rounding out the top 10. Alessandro De Tullio will go from 11th with Przemysław Lamenek in 12th position with Josh Poulain and Simone Pisoni on row 7. Jordan Johnson and Ryan Michelin howls row 8 with Leo Brown in 17th position and Jack Harrison in 18th. The last 2 drivers on the grid will be Matt Adams and Michael Romanidis. A full 8 drivers here today were unable to set in fact, I'll correct myself, 9 drivers unable to set a qualifying lap. They will all have it to do from the back, but they know what's in front of them just from here and beyond Road Atlanta, because it's the big long race, so to speak, in terms of track length, Chaz. It'll be Circuit of the Americas coming up.
It will be. That's going to be a humongous challenge for the drivers. It's going to feel very, very different when we leave Road Atlanta and head there. But then, of course, the very narrow and twisty confines of Virginia, there's an amazing amount of elevation change there as well. And then my absolute favourite on the calendar, I have to say, Road America is going to be a lot of fun to round out the season. That's going to be a great end-of-season party, I think.
And there are the drivers all getting themselves ready to race here at Road Atlanta. A number of drivers just reaching that calm before the storm. Matt Caruana could see there in the middle. They're just looking around, making sure that he's ready to set off from the very front. And as the iRacing sedan safety car will make its way through turns 10A and 10B, they have this short run before the start of this race. Just the 15 minutes to sort everything out, plus any added time remaining when they cross the start-finish line. Pace car will immediately dive down in, so the field will be in control of Matt Caruana. The green flag drops, and we get ourselves underway, and it's very bunched off at the beginning. Watch out for turn one. Immediately there's trouble in the middle of the field, as it looks like 2, 3 in the wall. There on the inside, they go through 4, 5. Another one goes there, off on the left-hand side there. That's big trouble for Michael Janney, who's been caught up, but up through the opening corner. Josh Thompson off the road, but through turn 3 and in towards turn 4. And yes, for the first time, Caruana leads. It's Pinto second, and it's William Chadwick up to third.
It was Ryan Michelin, Premslav Lemonek, and we've got Alessandro Di Tullio, Jordan Johnson, and as you mentioned, Jake, Michael Janney, all having problems at the start. Ryan Michelin. Sorry?
Personi's just had a massive off in the background. He's actually caught in the catch fencing right now. He's out of the race. So it's a dramatic opening lap, and they know if they've had this dramatic opening lap, they'll have more troubles to come along. But this is where it gets really important, this stretch of road after turn 7 to turn 10A.
Absolutely, a lot of slipstreaming is going to go on here. We were talking at Lime Rock about how it's not that massive in these cars, the slipstreaming. You have to be very close, and you have to have a massive straight to take advantage of it. But it's just enough down here at Road Atlanta to be able to do that. Pinto all over the back of Caruana. He knows that he doesn't want to make a move early on here. He wants to sit behind him, identify his opportunities, and try to break away from the pack behind. He wants all of those cars behind him to fight. Will Chadwick leads the way, though, behind them. And then it's Mangan, Mashayevsky, and Hawkin all together. Championship leader Horton up to 7th place. It's certainly going to be a tense one, this, Jake.
It certainly will. Up 2 spots then is the championship leader, but as the top 2 go through at this stage, there's a car off at turn 1, which is Brandon Hawkin, who's dropping down the order then, so he's had an issue where he spun the car, but at least for the moment, Caruana holding place at this moment with Pinto in 2nd position right now. And we'll take a little look at what happened over the opening lap, because it was absolutely incredible what happened off this start. You can see how much they bottled up for the green flag, and as everybody tried to go through, it looked like there that one of the machines there going through, it might have been the 4 car there potentially, or maybe the 14, just tried to barge his way through the middle.
Yeah, it looked like he tried to dodge to the left slightly when he got a run, but already the field had sort of pinched into the middle a little bit, and everybody wanted to go for the same gap, unfortunately. I was running a league earlier tonight, and we had the exact same thing happen, where there was a gap in the middle. Everyone wanted to fill it, and then they all bounced off in different directions. But here we go for the lead then. Pinto on Caruana. He goes to the right-hand side, which is going to give him the inside line for the second bit. He doesn't even need to wait to the braking zone, Jake. He's got it done already.
He has, and that's crucial because they don't want to allow Chadwick, Mangan, and Maciejewski into the mix. Now, here's something interesting about the drivers in 3rd and 4th, as Caruana gets a fantastic run coming through turn 12. It's going to be right underneath the gearbox in towards turn number 1, but it's going to lift out of it, not try and make a move. William Chadwick's got a brand new team. It just so happens to be Oscar Mangan's team.
Does indeed, yeah. 3rd and 4th, both teammates here. They'll be communicating, trying to work together. It is absolutely lovely to see this angle, though. Look at Caruana working away at the wheel here. Minute little details here and there with all the curves and all the force feedback. It's going to feel horrible over turn 5. It's such an important part of the circuit, but he's really working hard here, isn't he?
He is. The amount of force feedback that's going through the wheel is incredible. Now, to understand what force feedback is, Chaz, just give everybody a little bit of an explanation of how important it is to feel the bumps underneath you when you're trying to replicate this in sim racing. Now, here comes the move for the race lead.
There was a very sudden jolt of pace there from Caruana. I think it looked like Pinto either missed a gear or he's just let him through. He really went backwards all of a sudden there, did Pinto. That wasn't even down to slipstream. He just messed something up. I'm not quite sure what, but all of a sudden Caruana finds himself back in the lead, and as the producers rightly pointed out, it could have been a slowdown actually. That's a pretty good point. He might have run a bit wide at turn 5, taking his time to serve it, and then had to just jam on the brakes all of a sudden to make sure he had it. But coming back to force feedback, yeah, it's just very important to be able to feel what the car does. Obviously, you're not physically sat in the car. You don't feel the G-forces like you would in the real machine. When you're in the sim, you have to visually and audibly know what the car is doing. You have to hear the cues and see the cues. Having the wheel with so much force feedback through it is the main thing that's going to tell you what the car is doing. And like you say, having the stronger force feedback on these direct drive wheels that you can get, especially now, is very pivotal to be competing at this level, I must say, because you feel every little bump, every little detail, and there's more range for it to be there. If you're on a lower sort of powered belt-driven wheel, sometimes it's almost doing everything it can at once, and a curb or a tiny bit of gravel might feel the same.
It's just been a move for 5th position as now Maciejewski's dropped the place to Josh Poulain, who has now moved up through. That group of 3 is trying to stay in contact with this leading group of 4, and there is number 3. Josh Poulain drives in the Ginettas out there over the course of Racing Series last year in the real world, and now Harley Horton's going to decide he wants to take a crack at Jakub Maciejewski. He finds himself on the wrong side of the freight train, and I tell you what, there was a little half thought by Harley Horton to try and get the 2-for-1 offer going, but you don't want to be too greedy at this stage because you've still got 2/3 of the race to go.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to just eye it up here. And to be honest, if he would have made that move instantly, there would have been no chance for him to think, right, let's have a look at what Poulain's pace is like. Can we work together here in moving forward? Maciejewski's not even looking where he's going at one point there down the straight. I suppose it's the right time to check if your camera's working. Look at the speed they're carrying through turn 1. It's amazing pace from these cars. We were complimenting the fact that they float sideways so well last week at Lime Rock Park. But around here, all of a sudden, they just seem like scale X-Trick machines. They're just absolutely glued to the road, aren't they?
Well, you absolutely have to be through this S's section up into turn 5. It's such a difficult corner because you're on the plateau and you've got the largest curve in the world on the outside, which either you straddle through that section or it just spits you out to that inside. It's so easily done. Matt Caruana still leading this race, but I think Diogo Pinto now is going to have to be very careful about the way that he goes through this race. And for more information on the schedule and how to become a series member in the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series, you can log on to skipbarber.com/iRacing Series and get yourself signed up today to become one of those drivers who jumps into the top 20. On the brakes then into 10A and 10B. And it's got me sort of reminiscing here at this point here about something like the Tour de France, for example, right now here, Chaz, because you've got someone like Matt Caruana who effectively is doing domestique duties on the front, doing all the donkey work.
Yeah, absolutely. He may not be the one wearing the yellow jersey like Pinto is in second place right now with those highlights on his car, but he's certainly the one that is spearheading this entire group. The guys behind him are just benefiting from the slipstream down the straights. Maybe a bit of a disadvantage in places like this when there's a slight bit of aero wash down the hill. It's so easy to just be a millimetre offline here, and it can affect all 4 corners. If you just run a slight bit wide at the very first one over the curb at turn 5, I can feel that sat in my seat here at home. It really is uncomfortable. You just expect the car to bounce one way then the other. They're millimetre perfect on that white line on the left as well, I have to say. These guys are using every inch of this road, and it's great to see it. Look at the lean from Will Chadwick there. He really feels the movement of the car with his neck, doesn't he? He properly pushes into it. But it's just great to see because every one of these drivers has such a different style. And even when you just watch them on their cameras, it's the same as well.
Watch Diogo Pinto. He drops out of the draft on this straight because he doesn't want to catch Caruana at this moment in time as they go towards 10A and 10B. Now, that's going to be interesting, and he's only got to do that now as he goes through. And there is Oscar Mangan from Mullingar in Ireland as they drive under the Fox Factory Bridge. Mangan knows that he's been in this situation time and time again. He has raced this since his late teens, and he has been in this series, or in iRacing, for at least 8 years. He is one of the brilliant drivers when it comes to sim racing, and often goes underappreciated just how good he is.
Absolutely. I've seen Oscar in loads of official stuff, loads of really top-level stuff, and in leagues as well. You know, I've raced with him in a few leagues. He's just awesome to watch. He really is. And he's, of course, in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup this time round as well. Really does just show you how he's right at the pinnacle of the sport. And look how hard they're working. But sometimes, I said a moment ago about the different styles these drivers have got. Completely straight face, completely stoneless emotion as he's just so concentrated on the car off.
That's Josh Poulain who's in trouble, and that is a big, big issue there at the top of turn 5. where it's all gone wrong. So we've talked about it being a section of track where it can catch people out, and it's absolutely got Josh Poulain there, an absolute treat. So top 4 are there, but now it's about which drivers can keep themselves in the mix. It's still number 7, Matt Caruana, who finds himself at the front of this field. He's got the reigning Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup champion behind him in Diogo Pinto, and then he's got to navigate with Chadwick and Mangan just there. These 4 knows they tick down to 5 minutes to go. They want it to be a race of just those 4 and not anyone else.
Pinto will be feeling the pressure a little bit there from Chadwick, and again he's out of the slipstream down the start-finish straight. But as he was just waiting and waiting there and sitting behind Caruana, Chadwick was right underneath the crash structure on the back of that car. I said at Line Rock, it's a good thing the nose swoops down so far on the front of these things. He was almost lifting the rear off the ground for Pinto, saying, "I'll cool them rear tyres down for you, mate, don't you worry." All the while we've got Mangan behind, but we're going to go to a replay, Jake.
Yeah, we absolutely are. So 2 incidents here to dissect. The first one is Josh Poulain. Now he goes up over the top. He gets too much curb on the inside, kicks him over the gravel on the outside, and he's got no way to hold it. And then, bang, into the side there is number 9. That's Leo Brown, who collects up in that incident Jack Harrison. That's why Harrison has dropped all the way back to 14th position right at the same moment there, and was probably trying to leave some room on that inside there, really, Chaz, to make sure that Josh Poulain didn't jump back out onto circuit, as here comes Chadwick.
Yep, Chadwick moves to the left-hand side of Pinto. He's going to look down the inside. Caruana moves over to defend as well, just in case. And now Pinto might have played this beautifully. Not quite, though. I was thinking he's going to try and get around the outside of A and then down the inside of B. Chadwick's managed to just slot alongside. You can see him even thinking about this right now. Just looking over quickly, glancing to the left and thinking, no, I'm going to hang back for a moment. Still 4 minutes of the race left to go. This is a real high-speed game of chess, this, isn't it, Jake? This is excellent to watch. You can see the thought process is moving on.
Yeah, Diogo Pinto is being pushed into a position right now that if William Chadwick drives fast enough, Pinto will have to attack Caruana or be overtaken. It's an overtake or be overtaken world at this moment in time, and it's all about who wants to be out there and pushing. Caruana is just hoping for one thing and one thing only. Those 3 behind race against each other and start deciding that they want to play for second best.
Yeah, that's it. And to be honest, Chadwick is forcing Pinto's hand right now. That's what he's trying to do. You know, he's putting him in a situation he doesn't want to be in. He's just saying, right, look, I'm going to call your bluff now. You can sit behind him and dodge out the slipstream as much as you want, but it's that horrible situation where you've got to think about attacking the car in front in a way that doesn't compromise you and then put you under attack from the car behind. Mangan's in, I'd say, the best spot here because he's got these 3 cars all trying to slipstream, or in the case of Pinto, not slipstream each other, and he can just choose when he wants to pounce from behind the 3 of them. He's the one at the back, nothing to lose in terms of the cars behind him. He's got 1.9 seconds back to Harley Horton. I'd love to see how Mangan finishes this race, to be fair. I think we've got to definitely keep our eye on him.
We absolutely do. There's been troubles for Matt Adams out there on circuit. He's down in the pits, so he's a retiree as well. But Oscar Mangan is on the back of this train, and he's got a lot to think about here, Chaz, because as well, there's the fact that you start race 2 from where you finish race 1. So he doesn't want to jeopardise the entirety of his race as he gets very aggressive there through turn 3.
He really took a risk there, throwing it that far over the curb. You could see how much wider of the apex Chadwick was, and he's definitely not one of these drivers that's calculating his position based off the car in front. It's all too easy to just follow the car ahead of you and copy their every move. I mean, Pinto's doing the opposite of that right now. As soon as they go down a straight, he's just dodging out of the slipstream. He's making Caruana think, oh, I've got this in the bag now. But Caruana's clever enough to know that Pinto's going to take his opportunity when it comes around. Back onto the back straight again, but look, Pinto's all the way over to the right. I think he might be psyching out the guys behind us as well by doing that, because he's seeing whether they do want to stick there and follow him or whether they want to follow Caruana. But here comes another move then. Mangan alongside now. How's this going to play out?
Well, for Mangan and Chadwick, this is the first real hello they've had as they have joined the same team. Mangan on the inside, big lift from William Chadwick, wanted nothing of it there with Oscar Mangan. I don't blame those 2. They can't afford to drop time. And the way that you've seen Diogo Pinto being playing about with where they need to be, it's been some really difficult driving. It's 2 laps to go here around this place. They will cross the start-finish line with 9 seconds remaining on the clock to get 1 extra lap around here. So Diogo Pinto has afforded himself an extra lap the way he's been pushing Matt Caruana. But Matt Caruana had 161 victories in iRacing official races last season. Not bad for the 16-year-old.
Not bad at all. I don't think I've had 161 wins in my 9 years on the service. But still, incredible stuff from Caruana. That's why he's here. That's why all these drivers are here. They've got such amazing records, each of them. And to have them all on track together is a real treat for us. You know, we've both been around here for a long time, Jake. It's great to finally be in the box together, watching some top-level drivers compete in such a wonderful car at such an amazing circuit for such an incredible prize. Caruana now leads them onto the back straight again, and again, Pinto, he's not looking too menacing right now. He's going to be saving this for the last lap, surely.
Absolutely, no chance to attack back. Diogo Pinto's played this game many a time before. It's why he's one of the most revered sim racers in the world, one of the most informed sim racers in the world. Caruana on the brakes then, through 10A and 10B, looking to get some drive under the Fox Factory Bridge. They will cross under the stripe, or over the stripe. There'll be just a handful of seconds to go, just 4, so I got my times a little bit wrong, but we got the white flag out, being waved by Barney the flagman. Let's get it going here at Road Atlanta, through turn 1, and it's all about setup here, through the S's, through turn 5 to turn 7, but they've got to get through turn 3 first.
Yeah, we've seen Pinto hanging back a little bit before now, but I can guarantee you he's going to sit in the slipstream down towards turn 6, then maybe just have a look down the inside into turn 7, try and upset Caruana, and then use the slipstream. He knows he's got maybe a couple more car lengths than he had before over Mangan and Chadwick, but those two are going to be pushing the pedal through the bulkhead as they go down the back straight here. They're going to be bending the throttle. They are going to be absolutely mashing it. Here we come then into 7. You can see that Pinto is definitely closer than he has been before, but he doesn't want to be too close. He wants to make sure at least gets a bit of a slingshot in the slipstream down towards 10A and B. He wants to go to the right-hand side though, Jake, to be on the outside and then the inside through B. Let's see if he manages to pull it off.
Caruana looks nervous, and you can tell why, because here comes Diogo Pinto, moving to the outside to try and get this move. Will he have clearance by the time they hit the brakes at turn 10A? Caruana's going to try and keep the nose in. They really narrow to the inside. He can't turn that angle. And through now will go one more Oscar Mangan, one more William Chadwick. And thank you very much. Diogo Pinto just took everyone to school.
Absolute classic Diogo Pinto that was. He waited the entire race, played it beautifully, and set that one up. That was absolutely glorious. But not only did he beat Caruana at the line, he managed to take him out of a podium spot with Mangan and Chadwick coming through as well. Glorious stuff.
It's a win by 0.173, but that doesn't tell the entire story. William Chadwick third, Matt Caruana fourth. By the end, Harley Horton did really well to recover to 5th place. A quiet and understated performance from the championship leader, with Josh Thompson and Jakub Maciejewski 6th and 7th. Leo Brown in 8th, Michael Romanidis in 9th, and then the other Michael Janney in 10th position. Brandon Hawkin, Jack Harrison, and Matthew Zace would be the last finishers on the leading lap. And retirees include Matt Adams, Josh Poulain, Jordan Johnson. Simone Pisoni had a massive incident early on, along with Alessandro Di Tullio, Jem-Joab Lemonek, and Ryan Mikolev getting in trouble on the opening lap of this race. We're going to step aside, though, for one moment. Race 2 is coming up just after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
absolutely magical racing then from the opening race that we've got at Road Atlanta, but one more follows immediately after. From where they finished, they will start, and if you've got it all to do now, you've got everything to sit and get ready for. It's another 15 minutes, and everything is going to be pretty much on the money. It's Jake Sperry, it's Chaz Draycott here, bringing you all of the action. And Chaz, we are just about to get ourselves a little bit of an understanding of what went on in that first race with the driver who won this race overall in Diogo Pinto.
Yeah, I mean, that was just gorgeous, wasn't it? Absolutely gorgeous driving. He waited the whole race. We probably knew he was going to do it. Caruana knew he was going to do it. And I think, to be fair, behind him as well, Mangan and Chadwick, they knew he was going to do it. And he didn't. He still somehow took us off guard. It was amazing, that move. He just went to the right-hand side, round the outside of A, down the inside of B. It was textbook stuff. But unfortunately for Caruana, you know, it looked like there was maybe a tiny bit of contact, or he really had to get out of the steering lock all of a sudden. And then he lost the extra places as well. Like you said before, though, doesn't really tell the full story of that race, but it was an excellent viewing experience, and we've got another one to go yet.
We absolutely do, and I cannot wait. These points are really crucial. We'll take a little look, though, around this Road Atlanta circuit once again. Now, the big key was that everyone was waiting for 10A, 10B to be the place to get it done, but it's the amount of speed that you carry, which I think is the big thing. You've got those two massive slingshots, turn 12, turn 1, which really set up turn 3 as maybe a charm.
Yeah, that's it. We didn't see anyone take any massive opportunities up there, but it is definitely an overtaking spot. So I'm going to be intrigued to see if any drivers noticed whether they were specifically quicker than their opponents or certain other drivers that they were stuck behind in that particular area, because we could see a few people send it down the inside. We saw it ourselves when we were riding on board with, I believe at the time, it might have been, apologies, it was Oscar Mangan, sorry, at turn 3. He really aggressively attacked the curb behind Will Chadwick, and there was a huge difference in the lines they took. So that could definitely come into play here, Jake. You're right.
It really could. I tell you, for one, I am certainly hoping that we're going to get that close quarters combat that we saw in race 1. Everyone looks to try and form a pack, and they will look to try and make as much as possible happen from it. So we will see how that all goes about then here from this fantastic racetrack that is the Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. But this is what they got to deal with. Race number 2 with that iRacing Formula IR04. And it's that drive which is going to be so crucial. How do you put yourself in a machine which is pretty much tailor-made for trying to get the best out of driving skills, that needs all of the basics to be fundamentally put together to go and put the best race possible? Checkered flag in the warm-up, though, has just brought itself out. So in the next couple of moments, we'll be able to take ourselves then down to the grid and how everyone will stack up then here for this second race. It is as it was for race number 1, and crucially as they finish. So Diogo Pinto, the Portuguese driver, will be on the front, but will have Oscar Mangan for company in second. William Chadwick will go from third, with Matt Caruana fourth, Harley Horton and Josh Thompson fifth and sixth. It'll be Jakub Maciejewski starting seventh, with Leo Brown in eighth. Michael Romanidis and Michael Janney make it an all-Michael fifth row of the grid. Brandon Hawkin and Jack Harrison will start from 11th and 12th, with Matthew Zace and Matt Adams making it an all-Matt 7th row. Then you've got Josh Poulain and Jordan Johnson 15th and 16th, Simone Pisoni and Alessandro Di Tullio there number 10 in 18th, James Joab Lemonek, and then the number 1 Ryan Michelin going to be racing for hard charger bonus here today in 20th position. But one thing that we do know for certain is that the start was very hectic, Chaz, on that first race, mainly because of the checkup, and you could have that chance to race at our next round at Circuit of the Americas if you log on to skipbarber.com/iRacing series.
So long as you don't do what they lot did in the last start. Otherwise you'll get a telling off. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Jake. You know, some of them wanted that big slingshot you were talking about before around the final corner, and you've got to take the chance to do it. But the gap was only available in the middle, and everybody concertinaed together. Let's hope it doesn't happen again.
Diogo Pinto will have control of the field from this point onwards. Green flag in the air, and let's get ourselves underway once again here from Road Atlanta, getting a fantastic drive through that section, a lot cleaner than it was in the early goings. But now, as they pinch Pinto down to the inside, Mangan's going to have to open up the doors here, because down the inside of him is William Chadwick, his teammate. jumping up into second position, so finding the place up and going through. Caruana fourth, Horton fifth, Maciejewski's up one into sixth position, but a nice cleaner start then, and they know the nerves of race one have gone away. Now they've got to be aggressive here in race two.
Absolutely. We saw how quickly all the packs separated in that first race, so now they've got to get on the loud pedal and really push for any early opportunities. Once you then develop the sort of pack around you and the drivers that are stuck with you, that's when you can start to take your foot off the gas a little bit and just pick your opportunities. Right now is when you need to push and just get yourself in as best position as you can. Look at that train of cars making its way down. It's a lot cleaner than it was though, Jake. You're absolutely right. Everybody's still running as they go down towards 10A and B.
Yes, the crucial phase of the circuit. A couple of drivers looking to pull out then of line and try and find some moves. One of them right now trying to search is Oscar Mangan, but suddenly Caruana's going to search. He's going to get one of them here on the brakes and forces a double take at the turn for Oscar Mangan, who had to really get out of the power to make sure that he was not going to be in any trouble. But it brings Horton, it brings Johnson, it brings Maciejewski. The entire group is there. The gap really forms after Jordan Johnson. Alessandro De Tullio has got a little bit of work. And look how far they're going to go. I think Jordan Johnson had 2 tyres in the grass there in the background.
Almost all 4, to be fair. He completely went off the road. He was really pushing to try and make a move, but maybe a little bit too much. I think the car in front of him just caught him off guard slightly by trying to maybe block him, and it was a little bit too late. But right now, Pinto runs a little bit wide down the hill there. That was what I was talking about before, you know, one little bit offline in one of those sweepers down there, and it affects every other corner tenfold. It's horrible as off the road. At the side, was that number 15 of Maciejewski?
It might have been there. That's a big, big place to have an off. And you can definitely sense that in this race, you have got to be so alert. Lap 2, you're trying to get the tyres warmed up. Maciejewski's race over and done with. And we will have a little look at what happened earlier on with the number 19 machine then over the opening lap. So this is Matthew Zace here on this opening lap. So this is what he has to deal with. He goes through into the corner. Oh, there's a big lock up there in the back, and it sends the chain reaction.
That was Michelin. I saw on the timing that Michelin had dropped down again. He's had a nightmare evening considering that he was the fastest qualifier this week. But unfortunately, Ryan went in way too hot then. Maybe just a bit of overspeed from the slipstream. Didn't quite nail his braking point. And all it does take, like you said there, Jake, is that tiny lockup. And it's so hard to recover from because then you panic, you hit the brakes even harder. And all it does is just make the situation worse. So a real shame for Michelin. And obviously Maciejewski also having a problem after that.
Top 5, line astern then at this moment, and in 6th position it's Josh Thompson trying to get onto the back here. You can see Harley Horton pretty much hounding Oscar Mangan there through turn 4 and in through the S's, up the hill at turn 5, the escape from them, and then you find yourself now at this stage of calm. You've managed and traversed the first sector. The second sector is just as important though, because it's so underrated. There is Leo Brown at this stage in time on the brakes through the right then at turn 7. He's in the middle of this group, and he's going to know that he wants to get right on the back of each car in front. But each car in front has the same amount of draft, and you've got to be alert to that. Oscar Mangan just in front of him, he's got the line on Matt Caruana, so that's what he's seeing in front, which is Caruana losing the place to Oscar Mangan, who goes up to 3rd.
Yeah, they're all swapping around a little bit here, actually, compared to the first race when they all sort of sat and followed on. You know, it was one big tandem. But right now, they're all trying to get to the front. They're trying to get ahead of one another for that 3rd spot, at least, to go chasing after Chadwick and Pinto, who seem to be able to hold that gap slightly while all of these guys are battling together. The 2 blue highlighted cars, Mangan and Caruana, though, putting on a hell of a show right now. It's like one 8-wheeled Skip Barber car. It's absolutely awesome to see. But I just love the flowing nature of this circuit as well. It really suits these cars. As Horton was a little bit sideways through turn 3. Manages to catch it all, though, and keep it on the track. But you can see he's lost a couple of car lengths, and Thompson's going to get impatient now.
He is going to get impatient, but turn 5 is not a passing place. No matter what you try and say, it is not a passing place. So Thompson is going to have to try and move on back. And you can join iRacing today if you log on to iRacing.com. There is 40% off for brand new members. So make sure you sign up today and start your iRacing career and journey with us. So 1/3 of this race put in the books, and Diogo Pinto now still has to play the role that he didn't want to play in that first race. Try and win this one from the front. William Chadwick's going to get right up behind and is going to sit and wait, because nobody wants to be at the front of this train when that clock strikes 0 and you are on the last lap of this race. But everybody is going to be positioning for one thing and one thing only here, Chaz. They want second position. That's the best place in the house.
It really is, and Pinto proved that to us earlier on. I was commentating on a league just last week, actually, where a driver earlier in the season had been absolutely done over by the car behind him, saving fuel throughout the whole race, and in the pit stops he came out like 10 seconds ahead. You do not want to be the car spearheading this, and it's exactly the same scenario now. Pinto had the first race where he was the car in second. In the ideal scenario, he knows exactly how good it is to be sat where Will Chadwick is. He's got first-hand experience of it within the last half an hour, so he's going to be tearing his hair out thinking about what he can do here. He doesn't want to back it up too much because he could cause further loss of position, including all of these guys behind him as well. We saw how easily Caruana got freight trained in that first race. I'd hate to be in Pinto's head right now, calculating how he's going to get out of this one, because you're at the front of the pack. You can't do anything but get your foot down and crack on with it.
Well, these drivers have got to be alert. It's the top 7 who are clear at the moment. They're only clear by about 1.7 seconds to Michael Janney, who is in 8th place. So they know that even more time that they start playing these games with each other and nobody wants to make the move and everybody just sits up as they hit the brakes into 10A and 10B once more. They're not going to go and make these moves. They're not going to make these overtakes. They're only going to invite those drivers behind to start being aggressive and try and race on close. As we say that, Brandon Hawkins actually just moved up into 8th position, so they're racing amongst themselves at the moment behind them. So this is a crucial phase of the race. As they reach halfway, they know that in this race, if those drivers are racing behind, it's a race of 7. Janney back at the inside then at turn 1, using all of his road tax and getting the move sorted.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Instant retaliation there from Michael Janney. That's exactly what he needed to do. He didn't want to let Hawkins have any mental advantage, because as soon as you get ahead, you tell yourself, oh, I'm quicker than this guy, you know, I can drive away now, and it gives you that confidence to move on in the race. Janney had to retaliate. He had to say, no, look, I can beat you here. I can get back in front. Watch this. And now he reasserts his dominance at the front of this trio anyway. They've got Romanidis right behind them as well. He's looking for a better result after having that big off earlier on. He's actually done a good job to get up into 10th position as well right now, so he wants to continue that progress. Quick wipe of the brow for Janney with those luscious locks, I must say. Very jealous indeed. My hair's falling out these days. But he's having a fantastic race so far. Just needs to try and do what he can to cling on to that train in front, but it's easier said than done. Speaking of said train, here it is. It's more of a cluster now, isn't it, Jake?
It's Caruana who's got himself through on Oscar Mangan, and suddenly Harley Horton finds himself at the pass. And on the outside now is Mangan, leaving Josh Thompson with the lane to the inside. This is the freight train we're speaking of, and here comes Leo Brown to get this one sorted as well. But now they're going to trip over each other here. Thompson's got to get back into line here with Horton, and Brown having to defend from Mangan covers it off. But they have cost themselves about 6-7 tenths of a second to Matt Caruana with all of that playing about here. So it's going to take them a couple of laps, maybe a little bit more to get back on. By that time, it's going to be about a lap, 2 laps to go, and they are really now going to need a bit of help from in front.
I tell you what, Mangan was probably the only person in the UK there that would have been praying for a rail strike. He got absolutely freight trained indeed, and it just never stopped coming. There was just cars always down the inside of him, on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. He had nowhere to go, and that's just, again, what we saw before with Caruana, wasn't it, in that first race? All of a sudden, when you go offline once, these guys are so close together that it's just a 16-wheeled car going past you in one go. I must say, I'm actually quite impressed here by Pinto being able to hold that gap back to Chadwick, because that gap is definitely bigger than what Pinto sort of subscribed himself to in the first race, isn't it?
It is a little bit bigger. Here comes, though, the move from Josh Thompson on Harley Horton. He gets himself to the inside, knows time is of the essence, but Horton on that inside covers the line off fantastically, and taking advantage is Leo Brown, who might get both of them here down the hill at turn 12 with such a run through that section. And let's go 3 wide, why don't we? In towards turn number 1. This is never going to end well, but now as they go through, what coordination between them. Brilliantly done by Josh Thompson. Took the initiative on the inside and said, thank you very much. And so too does Oscar Mangan. He gets through Harley Horton. As that happened, a lap ago to this point, Alessandro Di Tullio is out of the race.
Well, there's a sad bit of news. The national treasure, the Red Arrows, have gone down from 9 aircraft to 6 this year. I think they ought to sign these lot up because they'll do a better job. It's absolutely remarkable formation flying. But at the front of this little quartet now, Josh Thompson from Leo Brown, Oscar Mangan and Harley Horton, and they've all changed positions in the last couple of laps. Excellent racing yet again, and this is what this car enables, isn't it, Jake? Wheel-to-wheel racing is not normally something you'd be so confident with in open-wheel cars. All it takes is one tiny touch and you're out of the race, you've got big damage and the cars go flying. Pinto's all of a sudden down to 3rd place, though, speaking of that. He's disappeared behind Chadwick and Caruana, so he's been absolutely mugged here.
Oh, I think he's deliberately doing it. He knows where he wants to go. Leo Brown just tucked up. He's got a bump draft on this straight. Oh, my word. You've got a bump draft with a front wing? God, this is incredible stuff. It's on for the race lead as well, though, because there's a mistake then coming through from William Chadwick, and that brings Matt Caruana, guess who, back to the front. Diogo Pinto now as the inside line. They're going to try and box Diogo in. Look at this, they're boxing him in, trying to get it sorted then around the outside at turn 1 with a couple of laps to go, and it's tyre-to-tyre stuff. Up the hill then towards turn 3. Pinto with the inside gets it sorted. Chadwick has to bail.
Yeah, he does. I think there might have even been a little bit of a touch there. It was very, very close. Thompson's even grabbed 3rd from Chadwick as well in the process. And look at that, all of a sudden, you just drop a few car lengths and somebody is there ready to pick up the pieces. This is excellent stuff. It really is. It's like down number 10 Downing Street here. Once one of them drops out, the next one's in already. So quick. Loving watching these guys all swap places so quickly, though. You're absolutely right, though, what you said before. We've now got a repeat of race 1 again because Caruana leads it. Pinto's in 2nd place, and already he's jumping out the slipstream. He doesn't want to be right behind him at this point, and now he's got himself in the ideal spot because there's a few car lengths back to Josh Thompson, but you can bet, knowing Josh, he is not going to let anything slip past here. He's going to give it everything he's got and take every opportunity.
He absolutely will, but you also have to remember Josh Thompson, Diogo Pinto just so happen to be teammates too. So
yeah,
they've also got that to deal with. So Thompson can play rear gunner to Mangan, to Chadwick, to Horton, to Brown. And now, on the back of that group, Jani and Hawkin, as there's a little look from Leo Brown to try and figure out if he's got an angle to maybe get by Harley Horton. It's not there. Defensive line from William Chadwick doesn't want to give anything up then through turn 1. And it will be, once again, the patience game, which is going to be the most crucial factor here at Road Atlanta, as now slightly wide over the curb. Oscar Mangan makes a mistake. He's offline for the S's, and that will allow his own teammate Chadwick to go through. There's contact there through the S's, and it's rule 1 of sim racing as Chadwick and Mangan both find themselves in trouble. Chadwick continues, Mangan doesn't.
Welcome to the team, Will. Well, I say that. I don't think that was Will's fault, to be fair. They were just both trying to give as much room as they could. Bit of a racing incident, but unfortunately, the two teammates outside of the series make big contact and go flying off. And that is a big moment, not just for the race, but potentially the championship as well. We all know how quick Chadwick is. He's definitely one of the fixtures for this series. It's going to be up there all the time. And I'm afraid he is now out of this race, and that's a big chunk of points lost because those guys were the ones that could immediately attack the cars ahead for the lead, and all of a sudden they've dropped it. But it comes back to what I was saying before, Jake. Wheel-to-wheel contact and open-wheel racing, it's really on a knife edge, and I'm afraid they've just slipped over it.
There's nothing left to lose in this race because they know the next race is 1 week from today at Circuit of the Americas. Then as Michael Jani finds out, he holds off Leo Brown. He's on the inside in towards turn number 1, and they are going to be very bereft of time here in this race. It's going to be very close towards the checkered flag to see how much time they have remaining in this one. The race on for 4th position. Harley Horton on backwards at this stage. This has been a really good damage limitation 2 races from Harley, the championship leader. He will seek the championship lead to Diogo Pinto at this rate, but he's doing a great job.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's doing everything he can do. You've got to consider how hard it is to just stay in your own position in these packs in this race. You know, he's doing an amazing job. He's not quite on the race-winning pace for this week, but he's right up there still, and that's all he could ask for. You know, he could be right down there in 15th place right now and losing a big chunk of points, but instead he's up there. He's still fighting with the best of them, and we're going to definitely get one more lap left. But like you say, Jake, I think it's only going to be a few seconds. We had 4 seconds earlier. I'm thinking it's going to be more like 2 this time round.
Yeah, they've been certainly battling a lot more, and I will say Matt Caruana's got a nice gap, but there is Gianni holding off Harley Horton. He gets the move done and moves up another position, but as they come towards the line then, and they'll have one more lap to go, this is absolutely on for the positions just outside the podium. Horton back at the inside of Michael Gianni to go through. Do you dare, Leo Brown, go to the inside? No, you'll have to defend as well, but Gianni taking it around the outside. Can he hold the line? Can he hold with rhyme and reason at turn 3? No, he has to hit the brakes. Brilliant stuff between them, and it checks up the group again. Brown is there as they go through. The lead on top of your screen. This race for 4th, all the way down to 8th place. Absolutely incredible stuff as they go through. And there's the contacts. They go up over, and suddenly they just about all hold it together. Leo Brown loses out. Michael Gianni loses out. So Romanidis and Hawkin go through. But watch how Diogo Pinto closed that gap up. Once again, he was half a second back, and he got that gap down to 0.2 of a second. Will we see the same story once again? How much have you learned? Matt Caruana, he'll know it's exactly what happened last time. Diogo Pinto is there. This time he'll give him the inside, though. That's interesting as they head to 10A and 10B. Diogo Pinto's got to do it the other way around this time. He'll get the line at the inside, and crucially, he's got the cover to go to 10B. This, you can see the frustration on Matt Caruana's face. This is Diogo Pinto's golden hour. What a double from the PES champion. He taught everyone another important lesson.
You can't keep him down, can you? 13 may be unlucky for some, but Diogo's going to want to qualify there next week. Fantastic stuff. Incredible racing. And I tell you what, Jake, coming back to the little argy-bargy moment around turn 5 onto that final lap, I don't know how nobody ended up in the wall there. That was amazing car control, great discipline from them all. It was just such hard racing, and we all know how difficult it is through those S's. But what else can we say about Diogo Pinto? We're going to very quickly run out of superlatives for him. Incredible night, perfect night for the reigning PES champion, and you've got to be pleased for him because that was just awesome stuff. His teammate Josh Thompson alongside there. Josh scores a podium as well. Epic stuff for the pair of them. They're going to go to bed very happy tonight.
Tell you what, Matt Caruana's face told the entire story. It was a case of, well, I tried the outside and I tried the inside and neither worked. So what can I do? Diogo Pinto, your winner then, 16 minutes, 13 seconds, wins by just about 0.3 over Matt Caruana, with Josh Thompson ending up in 3rd. Harley Horton would get 4th out of the end of that, ahead of Brandon Hawkin, who would end up in 5th, and 6th position would belong to Michael Gianni. Following that, you had Leo Brown in 7th, Michael Romanidis in 8th, and your hard charger for this race, Przemysław Lemonek, up 10 spots, 19th, finishing off in 9th. Matt Adams would round out the top 10 with Josh Pulane and Simone Pisoni, 11th and 12th. Matthew Zace, Jack Harrison, and Jordan Johnson, the last drivers on the leading lap, and retirees include both Oscar Mangan and William Chadwick, who are so high up in the field over the course of the race. Not the race for Alessandro Di Tullio, nor Jakub Maciejewski, and Ryan Michelin, well, he's put that one in the trash can and probably kicked the trash can about 50 yards down the road after the race that he had here today. But Chaz, 2 races, 2 brilliant races, and you have to look at what has happened today and say that there is a reason why Diogo Pinto is so revered as a driver. He knew exactly what his tactic was going to be for both races. He wanted to be in 2nd, and he deliberately let 1st position go back to 3rd, knowing he would have a chance to get back up through the field in the 2nd half of that 2nd race.
Yeah, that's it. You know, everyone always thinks that what makes an amazing driver is ultimate pace all of the time and going for every move and being exciting and being that one to be the daring driver and throw it up the inside of everyone, outbrake everyone. But you've got to be in the right place at the right time, and Diogo Pinto showed everybody that tonight. He was diving out of the slipstream, which most people would think, why is he doing that? You want to slingshot past the guy and disappear up the road. He just got himself, over the course of the whole race, just put himself in the right place everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. He was at the front. He showed them that he's got the pace early on. He sort of had them in the rearview mirror saying, look what I can do here, boys. And then as soon as it came to it, he let the battle happen. He thought, okay, you go ahead. I'm going to get this back later on anyway. It's absolutely fine. And like you say, inside or outside, it don't matter into that chicane. He made it work both times. I feel so sorry for Caruana, though. But even still, when it comes to points, he's had a great night, hasn't he?
Yeah, don't take anything away from Matt Caruana. The fact that he's got 2 second positions is absolutely incredible. But we are going to get a chance now to have a conversation with our dual race winner at the double, Diogo Pinto. Diogo, out outside of the final lap, you manage it. Inside of the final lap, you manage it. It seems no matter what you did today, everything just turned up and, everything you touched turned to gold here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, it was a pretty good event for me, maximum points. Quali, I got quite lucky because I got an invalidation on the hot lap, and I just managed to put my actual lap time in the last second or so of the session. But first race I got it on the outside, and the second race I wanted to try something different and go on the inside. But yeah, in this race, just about waiting for the perfect moment and go for the move on the last lap.
So waiting for the moment, we saw you pull out on a number of occasions to get out of the draft at around 0.4, half a second, that sort of range. How encouraging is it for you as a driver, knowing that you can claw back 0.2, 0.3 of the draft over the course of a lap, knowing that you've got time in the back of your mind to work with?
Yeah, and this car, especially around this track and any draft-dependent track, you can gain a lot in the slipstream. And I feel also really good in this combo. I drove it a couple months ago in a VCO Pro Infinity race, and I did quite well there. And here it was the same. The pace was good, the draft was strong, so I could just manage it how I wanted. Keep a gap when I was P2, and then go for it on the last lap or two and go for the win.
Let's talk next week, because I think your run from turn 7 to turn 10A is exactly the same run you'll have turn 11 to turn 12, Circuit of the Americas. It's a Marmite track. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Do you love it? Do you hate it? And in terms of what you want to get out of this, do you feel like right now you are pushing at a level that gives you championship target status?
Yeah, for sure. I love Road America. Always has been one of my favorite tracks. Most of the American tracks, I really like them, but especially Road America is up there, one of my favorites. And yeah, my goal obviously is to win the championship. That's what I'm here for. At Lime Rock, I didn't have the pace to win races, but here I feel like the pace was good and there was not a lot of risk involved of winning the races. So I decided to go for it, and hopefully Road America is the same.
We will hope so. I believe it's Circuit of the Americas and not Road America. So hopefully,
all right.
Hopefully that will be good for you. But Diogo Pinto there joining us, a race victory here at the double, and surely taking strides towards the championship lead. Chaz, you've been able to catch up with Matt Caruana.
Yes, Matt. I mean, commiserations to the chicane. I know we saw the frustration, mate, and it's completely understandable. But you've still not had a bad night when it comes to the points. What were your expectations going into this evening?
Yeah, so obviously last week I didn't really have the best week. In race 2 I got a DNF, so coming into this week I was just hoping to get a more consistent result, like finish in the top 5 hopefully, and I've managed to do that in both races. So even though with that netcode thing at the last chicane on the first race, I'm still, happy to take a P4 and a P2. I'm really happy with the points.
Yeah, we did wonder whether there was just a tiny little bit of contact, because it did seem like you either had to get off the lock just to avoid him, or there was a tiny touch, and it really did unsettle the car by the look of it. So again, commiserations out of that final corner. But I mean, to go up against someone like Diogo, you had Josh right behind you at the end there as well. It must be a hell of a confidence booster to know that you can race so closely with these guys. You don't have to jump out of the way, do you?
Yeah, like the field is proper stacked. So like racing against these guys, they're all just like so fast. So being able to race against them a bit at the front is really good to have that level of racing with these guys. You're not really scared that they're gonna hit you off or anything. They're all really good drivers. So it's really fun to just have a good race with all of them.
And especially in open wheel cars as well, because you'd expect racing this close in touring cars or GT cars, wouldn't you? But not something with the wheels way further away from the body. Normally cars like this, everyone's too scared to go close, but it's a hell of a thing to be able to do, isn't it, in this car?
Yeah, I think this car in this game is really good. Like it just offers such good racing. The contact's not too bad, except for just the occasional netcode thing. But yeah, the racing overall is really good, especially in a series where the driving standards are so high with some drivers. So it's really good.
And just coming to next week very quickly, we're going to Circuit of the Americas, not Road America, because I think Diogo was just about to go and start practicing Road America instead. But are you confident there? I mean, as Jake said, it's a Marmite circuit. I can't stand the place, but I think it's going to be great for the racing, though. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good track. Like, it will be really good for the racing, especially in the F4 car, because the track's so wide and the car's like so small. So there's opportunities for like 4 wides and stuff. So I think it'll be really fun, really good racing again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we look forward to watching you make it 4 wide, mate. I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, you too. Cheers.
Cheers. Matt Caruana then, what a star. Absolute star. And he was right up there at all points tonight, Jake. It's just a real shame that Diogo just had the advantage into that last chicane both times.
Yeah, and Diogo Pinto has proven just how good he is, and he will now take the championship lead by 11 points over Harley Horton, exiting Road Atlanta here tonight. But remember the 2 drop rounds. Don't count out that driver in 15th position, Sebastian Weldon, because he is still very much in this championship hunt. And these drivers know that those 2 drop rounds that they have count for any race that they do. They do not have to be at the same meeting. So keep that in mind as these drivers go through. Look how congested it is now, 3rd, 4th, and 5th as well. That one race in the Skip Barber Racing Series is going to be crucial to race for, and you'll see it next week, February 16th, 8 p.m. Eastern at Circuit of the Americas. It's the full layout. We're not going to get many laps of this place, but my goodness, are they going to get an understanding of what was, especially for the Skip Barber Racing School last year, the championship finale circuit.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic race meet, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. It's probably only going to be about 2 laps, but I'll tell you what, there'll be some of the best laps we ever see, Jake. I'm really looking forward to it, mate.
I'm looking forward to it as well. The halfway stage of the season is right there, and you can join it with us at iRacing. But that is going to bring things to a close for us here tonight. A wonderful bit of driving from Diogo Pinto has got the double done here. It's been a truly incredible showcase of racing that we've had, but one thing is for certain. It was Diogo Pinto's golden hour. He put everybody on notice. I want a full season the same way Mikel Garda did 1 season ago, and I want to prove that I can not only be a Porsche Esports Super Cup champion, but I can be the champion here of the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series. We see you at COTA 1 week from today.